Perfect. All right, I'll call the meeting to order. If everybody could join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. First item on the agenda, or second item, I should say, is citizens petitions and statements. Do we have any citizens petition and statements today? Any correspondence to the board? So first off is our 6 PM hearing, National Grid poll hearing for Bates Street. There's one for Bates and one for Cape Road. Go ahead, Mike, if you want to make the motion to open it up.
I move to open the public hearing to consider the request of Massachusetts Electric Company, N-Grid, and Net Verizon New England Incorporated to relocate pole 2315 to the northeasterly direction from the bad curve on Bates Street and Cape Road, install new pole 24-84 to help anchor pole 24, cause of the new angle of wires.
Second.
Discussion is in conformity with the requirements of the Mass General Law, Chapter 166, Section 22. The Mendon Select Board hereby give notice that will hold a public hearing June 22nd, 2022 at 6 PM in the Town Hall Upper Meeting Room, 20 Main Street, Mendon, to consider the request of Massachusetts Electric Company, N-Grid, and Verizon New England, Inc. to relocate pole 2315 feet plus or minus to the northeasterly direction to move away from the bad curve on Bates and Cape Road. Install a new pole 24-84 to help anchor pole 24 because of the new angle of wires. All interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. It was Jeffrey, right, Jeff? You can hear us if you'd like to take it away.
Hi, this is Jeff from National Grid. It's a pretty straightforward.
Hang on 1 second, Jeff. Hang on 1 second. Sorry. Just get some volume out of this. What?
It's hello everybody. This is Jeff from National Grid. It's a pretty straightforward project. The pole, due to the angle at which it's going to be taking the wires down Bates Street, has to be supported from a pole across the street and anchored. That way, the pole top doesn't snap off 10 or 15 years down the line.
Does anybody have any questions in the audience? Any questions from the board?
I have none.
The only question I have, the primary purpose of moving the pole in the first place, is it just because there's a bad curve and you're just getting the pole away from the curve? Visibility?
That is correct.
Alright.
That is correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Diane Howell. I live at 13 Edward Road. And
Yep.
I'm just kind of curious that why all of a sudden is this pole a danger? Because it's been standing there for quite a while.
Jeff, can you answer that question? I'm not sure if you heard it. They're asking why all of a sudden it's posing a danger,
So the pole is actually closer to the street side than anything else, and we're trying to get further off of the street that way for plows and everything else, and prevent accidents that could potentially happen in the future.
Understood. So what they're saying is it's too close to the actual edge of the road at the moment. They're going to move it up and then bring it back as well to get it further away from the street so it's not so close to cause an accident. As you know, people coming off the Cape onto Bates there tend to be sometimes maybe going a little too fast, or it being closer to the edge is probably way more dangerous, which the sign that was requested from a resident on Edwards Road is actually, that sign is on order, so should be here soon. Any questions?
Eric
Lonnie?
Hodge, 3 Bates Street.
Yep. Oh, sorry, Dan, I didn't see your hand. Oh, Eric's here as well. So Dan, go ahead.
I don't have any issue. Hopefully they probably want to reach out to the water department. I'm not quite sure where the water main is there.
So we just got to make sure whatever we do, we avoid what's in the ground because it's somewhere in that vicinity of that corner.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have to call dig safe and locate everything before they move anything.
Correct.
Anything else, Dan?
No, that was it. I just, I'll have to look at the plan at some point, but.
All right, thank you. Eric Hodge, please.
Hey, yeah, thanks for recognizing me. Eric Hodge, 3 Bate Street. I just wanted to speak to a previous resident's concern, just as a heads up, that pole has been struck a couple times outside in front of my house. So I'm fully in favor of us moving this. Just a quick question for the utility provider. Can we expect any disruptions in service?
If the disruption would happen, it would be minimal because what typically happens is they'll put the pole up and then transfer the utilities once the pole is up. But they will send out notices prior to if there will be an outage at some point, but it will be minimal.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions?
Okay, I move to close the public hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I move to approve the request of Massachusetts Electric Company, N-Grid, and Verizon New England Incorporated to relocate pole 23, 15 feet to the northeasterly direction to move away from bad curve on Bate Street and Cape Road. Install new pole 24-84 to help anchor pole 24 because of the new angle of the wires.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item is the, I don't, says 6:10. Is that the actual time? We'll wait 5 minutes. Let me just, why don't we review the parade permit? Chris Nutt had sent in a request for the annual Harbor Parade to be held on Sunday, July 3rd, from 6:30 to 8:30. This is going to take place from the library, the Taft Library down to the Clough School. But Chris, if you want to talk some more about it, go right ahead.
Yeah, so Lieutenant Chris Nudd, Mendon Fire, also president of the Mendon Fire Professional Firefighters Union. Yeah, it's just the annual Horribles Parade. I don't know if you've been in town a while, you know about it. It's a chance for the kids to dress up. Obviously, with the last couple of years, we've been kind of had to shut down a little bit, but with things opening up, it'll be a good chance for everybody to get out before the holiday. You know, bring the families together, have some hot dogs, some ice cream. Got some great prizes for the best costumes. So it's from what the research I've done, this looks like it's the 75th anniversary of this Horribles Parade here in Mendon. So yeah, we're just looking to get the okay from you folks to move forward with it. So
Excellent. Yeah, it's definitely a fun event. I remember doing it when I was a kid. Yeah, you gotta make a motion for that. 6.
Okay, I move to approve the Mendon Permanent Firefighters Association's request for parade permit for the Horribles Parade on Sunday, July 3rd, 2022, from 6:30 PM to 8:30 PM from the Taft Library to the Clough School.
Second.
Discussion? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
thank you.
see you there.
Say it's 6:08.
Assuming it'll take us a couple of minutes to actually read everything, so why don't we go ahead and open it up?
Okay. I move to open the public hearing to consider the request of Verizon New England and Massachusetts Electric Company to remove tree guy, install a new JO pole 42-84 and anchor stake location, pole to be used for guying pole line down 81 Park Street driveway.
Second.
For discussion, in conformity with requirements of Mass General Law, Chapter 166, Section 22, the Mendon Board of Selectmen hereby give notice that will hold a public hearing June 22, 2022 at 6:10 PM in the Town Hall Upper Meeting Room, 20 Main Street, Mendon, to consider the request of Verizon New England, Inc. and Massachusetts Electric Company, NGrid, to remove tree guy, install new JO pole 42-84 and anchor stake location, pole to be used for guying pole line down 81 Park Street driveway. All interested parties will be given an opportunity to be heard. Discussion further? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Jeff, if you want to go ahead and take that one away.
Again, pretty straightforward job. The pole is anchored into the tree at the moment, and we're trying to remedy that by installing a pole at the stake location. I met up with the customer on the opposite side of the pole that's being guyed, and we discussed it this morning, and he was on board with it. I don't think it's any that difficult to explain. If anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Any questions from the board? Yeah, I know this location where this is will definitely be helpful. Any questions from the audience? All right. I'm sorry, nobody.
I
Any
guess I
questions?
have a question.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
It's attached to this tree. Is there a intent to remove the tree?
Jeff, is there any, will you guys be removing the tree that it's attached to now, or are you just gonna remove your connection to the tree?
We are just removing our connection to the tree, and just installing it on a pole, how it should be according to standards now.
Yep, understood. It's a good question, though, if you maybe talk to the tree warden, they maybe able to give you an answer regarding if that tree is, if it's not healthy, or, if it's in the road, maybe one of the ones already on the list to take down.
I have a question. Is there any shelf behind or near that tree, rock shelf, that they can literally rock, throw and anchor the guide, the cable to, instead of putting a pole in?
Question, Jeff, not sure if you heard the question. Question is there a rock shelf that you could anchor to rather than installing a pole?
It's all dependent on what they see out there in the field, whether they can or they cannot. I don't have that knowledge of what's out there. I didn't go into the field to see what's out there. They would have to assess that when they get out there to install that equipment.
Thank you. Any other questions?
All right, I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I move to approve the request of Verizon New England Incorporated and Massachusetts Electric Company to remove tree guy, install new JO pole 42-84 and anchor stake location, pole to be used for guying pole line down 81 Park Street driveway.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. All right, Jeffrey, thank you so much. We'll get everything signed and off to you.
Thank you very much. You guys have a fantastic evening.
You as well.
Thank
All right, item number 7, consider appointment of career firefighter EMT Darren Simpson. Good evening, Chief. How are you today?
Great. How are you guys?
How are you?
Just by way of introduction, this is Darren Simpson. As part of the FY23 budget, there was a position added to the fire department, which will allow us to put 2 career members on 724. So we will not have to try to utilize part-time or per diem people trying to fill that shift and all the coordinating hassles that go with that. We posted this position in-house and we had two in-house members apply. So the deputy chief and myself held a practical assessment that consisted of 9 stations of items that we would expect to be done on the Mendon Fire Department as a firefighter EMT. And Mr. Simpson rose to the top on that test. He successfully completed it. And a little bit of background on him. He joined us about 3 years ago, almost to the day when he went into the call volunteer recruit program, and has been serving as a call firefighter EMT since then. He's been filling some of those open shifts over the last couple of years. So we're very happy to be able to give this opportunity to him. It's always good to be able to promote from within whenever we can. So I recommend that the board appoint Darren Simpson as a career firefighter EMT.
That's great news.
He's probably willing and very excited to answer many questions if you would like to ask him any.
Is there any questions from the board for Darren?
None from me.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Questions from the audience? Good. Want to make the motion?
I have one question. What was the hardest practical thing that you had to do in the exam?
This part.
I'd say the challenging terrain where the chief decided to hold the exam. Leave it at that. Inside joke.
Yeah, no, just for some quick background, and I would say probably the most challenging thing, at least from my perspective of the practical exam, is one of our challenges at a fire is water supply because we don't have hydrants. And from the time that we started training in a new way of doing things 3 years ago or so, we've just done repetitious practicing of it. So we broke that evolution as if you're attacking a fire down into 3 separate stations. One is you're the operator of the engine, and everything you do to set up the pump and get water flowing to that hand line and then going and backing up your partner. One, if you were in the passenger seat of the first 2 engine, who is to stretch that hand line to the building and be ready for the extinguishment. And then the third part of that, the third step, is the tanker driver coming in and then establishing the water supply to that engine, making sure that that engine pump is set for that water supply coming in and continuing to supply the water to the attack line, as well as setting up our arrangement to tie in additional tankers. So that those 3 steps within the practical exam are really very important to us, because if we can catch a fire early by everybody, those first 3 people doing those jobs effectively, we have a better chance of knocking down that fire before it grows too quick so that we can't even supply enough water to put it out. So my guess is that for the 2 that did it, that was the most challenging part, is just trying to get through that process.
Thank you, Darren. Any other questions?
Sure. I move to appoint Darren Simpson to the position of career firefighter EMT effective July 10th at the contractual entry-level hourly rate of $24.83 per hour.
Second.
Third. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Darren?
Congratulations.
Thanks for stepping up.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Consider an interview Donna, should probably put my glasses. Donna Sun for the Council on Aging.
I know most of you, but for those of you that don't know me, I'm Amy Wilson Kent, Senior Service Director here in Mendon. The Council on Aging, which is an advisory board, and I serve, and our staff serve about 1,500 seniors here in town. And we've been running shy on our board since COVID hit. We've lost two of our board members. We should be staffed at 7 board members, but we're down to 5, and they've worked really hard and stepped up. But we have a wonderful new volunteer here, Donna San. She came with application in hand and said, I want to volunteer. And from there, she took our Tri-Valley training. Tri-Valley is the agency that provides home care services to our seniors. They provide Meals on Wheels. They provide grocery shopping. They provide healthcare, home care, personal care, I should say, and homemaking. And so they also do the Meals on Wheels congregate meal program we have at the center. So when Donna came, I said, we are desperate to start up our Tuesday lunch program again. Would you consider? She said, yes. So that was the first yes. She took the training. There's a nutritional training that she and 5 other folks took to help get our Tuesday lunch back on track. When I expressed to her that we had an opening, we actually have 2 openings on our board, without hesitation, she said, yes, I would consider that. She came to our board meeting where Peg Nugera is one of our co-chairs. Peg got to meet her. The other board members got to meet her and hear of her sincere interest. She further came to other activities at the center, has helped out in numerous ways. She said, yes, she would like to consider this post. Additionally, where we do work so closely with Tri-Valley, we are down a representative. Mendon is down a representative. Kevin Rudden, who was previously on our board, has stepped down from Tri-Valley, and so we need representation there. When I mentioned to Donna, who has 38-year background of nursing and had just recently retired, when I mentioned this to her, would she consider this? She said yes. And brought it to our board's attention, and they certainly said that they would like to consider her. So I would like to say that she's a Mendon resident of 10 years. She's expressed this willingness, and I'm hoping that the select board will also consider, her a good candidate and a good fit for us. We are in need. And with that, I'd say if you'd like to ask Dawn or something yourself. She lives at 31 Taft Ave here in Mendon.
I just like to say thank you for stepping up to fill the vacancy. This is great news. And what you're bringing to the table and also saying yes to already is great stuff that sounds like was highly needed down there at the senior center. My question just on the appointment is that it says it's going to start on July 1. I know we're only days away, but I mean, is there a reason we couldn't? It's filling a vacancy. Could we appoint her now for that? Or so let me just ask a question on this actual seat. Is this, you said it's a 3-year term, so it's starting 7/1 starts the 3-year.
Mm-hmm.
So she's filling, I mean, I guess if we just make the motion slightly adjusted, that we would appoint on, if, or it needs to go without saying she could start immediately. Just hate to see her wait a few days if you can get something done.
I think that you have a meeting scheduled between now and July
No, we do
1.
not.
Oh,
July 13th is our next meeting.
perfect. Thanks.
It'll stay right in the sequence because all of our appointments are July or.
Yeah, I was just gonna fill the small gap of a week and a half, but if we don't need to, we don't need to. That's the only question.
We do have a vacancy.
Yes.
No, we're looking for Mark Rio since he stepped down.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be allowed to. Or I, why wouldn't I? So again, thank you very much for filling the gap for us. And if anybody else has any other questions?
No questions, just echo the thanks and just be careful saying yes.
She's reached her limit. She's reached her limit, I can tell.
But thank you.
Thank you.
And on behalf
Thank
of the
you.
Council on Aging, we want to welcome the new members.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
I know you from the plant swap.
Yeah.
And also, the invitation is always open for you to come down to the center.
Mhm.
We have a lot of activities, and we do understand that the work schedule and family
comes first. We understand that. But we do have activities that fall on different days of the week.
Mhm.
We've got the senior tea for residents over
Sunday.
the age of 85 that's on a Sunday. We're always looking for help for cookouts and things, and we try to make it as enjoyable as we can for the workers as for the participants. So we want to welcome you and tell you that our door is always open, and we'd love to see you.
Yes.
And I know Kim has been down there many
Yes.
times and helped us many, many times. So
I've mostly just eaten the food.
You served the holiday dinner, you and the chief,
And
both
the chief
chiefs.
has left because I would.
But
Yes.
I mean, truthfully, we're in it for the ice cream and the desserts, but I,
That's
we're
coming
happy
up.
to
That's
do it.
coming up in
Doing
August.
peach
The
pie.
entertainment.
Peach
Let's
pie
not talk
this
about let's not talk about the singing talents of this
Yes.
group. yeah?
Yes.
I definitely hear some more yeses coming.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, yeah, with that, I'll accept the motion to appoint Donna Sun.
I move to appoint Donna Sun to the Council on Aging Board for a 3-year term that will expire June 30th, 2025.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much.
Thank you
Have
so
a
much.
good evening.
Next item is award the Town Hall campus bid. If you would like to take it away, Kim?
Okay, as you know, town meeting approved and authorized funding for, and we went out to bid for the town hall campus project. At that time, we're working, Horsley Witten, the group we're working with, gave us an estimate of about $758,000, and then we added about 200,000 for contingency, right?
Okay.
So the good news is the bids came in between 883 and $1.4 million. And so Horsley Witten has done the background checks on the firms and has verified that the low bidder, UEL, it has positive recommendations and is certified to do this type of work. And so my recommendation is going to be to award this to UEL for the project. Just as an aside, I do think, I think we will be within budget. Obviously, it's slightly higher, $100,000, a little bit more within the estimate for the, which isn't terrible. But just to be aware of maybe going into the fall, right? Hopefully not. Hopefully we're prepared and we have enough, but it is a little tighter than we had anticipated, probably at town meeting.
What's the timing on the work? When-
So initially, the timeline in concept, right, because we don't know until they don't know until we sign tonight. So they wanted to do the majority of the work before November of this fall and then come back in the spring to do the follow-up with the plant. So it would be fast and furious, basically, once we sign, which is great for us, right? There will be some logistical issues potentially, maybe the modification of having that facility open at the same time as this and moving them over here temporarily so that the contractors can get to certain, they can use that side basically for staging, right? But we'll deal with that. Shouldn't be a problem.
Do you have a sense for when what part of the project will see the biggest, I'm thinking about the financials. Is that going to be front end loaded in terms of the potential variance that you might expect, or is it going to be more back end?
I think it's because we're not constructing a building and always, to me, the biggest variable on this site is literally the ground. And we just did some sort of exploratory work out there and it wasn't half as bad as anyone anticipated. So I would think maybe around complications related to the engineering and the lines, right, once we do that. But I really don't see, since it's mostly groundwork and plants and sort of reconfigurations, I'm not anticipating anything drastic.
Right.
Maybe additions along the way if we decide, if something came up and we think this is a better option. All the change orders obviously come through here anyway, so we'd sort that out.
Yeah,
as we go.
The underground work is very limited. We're talking about some piping from pole to here and then some other underground to, from here to the building department.
The reason for my question is more of around if we're going to get any surprises, we should see a surprise within the first 3 to 4 months.
Oh,
We would know by STM.
And I'm thinking free cash and things like that, if we have to adjust.
I would say that anything that they're gonna do on the ground, it's gonna be done at the beginning, right? Then because then, it's mainly a parking lot at this point, right? I mean, we do have some islands to build, but
It's a very detailed, elaborate project that,
Some slight configuration changes out front here to open up that exit that was discussed. The only big issue I saw was, I think they already took it into consideration, was this pole here and how close they are to it. You can't see it unless you walk up here, but but I think they already reconfigured that because this exit is only going to allow for a right turn only out. So this, they were able to get it closer to then alleviate that pole problem. It's there because there's an anchor there.
Is there any outstanding sort of wish list items from our perspective that when we look at this, we wish we could have done?
nope. So I intentionally did not do it with add-alts, but made that clear ahead of time to the firm that I wanted to go forward to town meeting. I think you all heard me say this,
Yeah.
which is I wanted to go with the full number and then hope for the best rather than having to come back for more. I mean, I say it now about coming back for more just in case, but I mean, because you never know. Our contingency is down to $100,000. That's not much on a project, but this is already under $1 million anyway. So it's actually pretty, I think we're in pretty good shape. We've been very lucky. Like I said, town meeting transferred a lot. We've also received a number of earmarks, right, that will help with the project. I mean, keep in mind, we're also doing the well at the same time, the new well in the back. So, I mean, there's a lot. I anticipate more issues around that than I do around this.
Yeah,
Right?
that pipe is gonna, because that's gonna have to come from all the way in the back.
Right.
Although they've already done digging over there, it's not, it's not, brand new ground over there. There's been work done already over there. So I would think we're not gonna.
But the well's not part of this 883.
No, but it's not part of that pricing, but they're happening at the same time.
The well's gonna be dug and then we have to run the pipe up, then
Right.
they'll.
We got two separate sources of funding for just the well and the piping portion. We got approval at town meeting for, I think, $41,000. And then we got another $50,000 earmark just for that. So we should be covered on that. And then obviously any excess that's available there goes towards the infrastructure for this. So they all, they're separate, but they work together.
Is there any difference in the terms and conditions on these bids that may trip us up?
No, so
It's all,
it's based upon contracts that we generate with our council that we then go out and send as part of the bid package. So their compliance is with us in our recommendations, right?
apples to apples. Okay.
Now, obviously, if for some reason the first bidder decides to decline our offer, I think we'd have to come back and have a serious conversation because there is a big jump between the pricing.
Exactly.
But let's assume they've already been in contact and wanted to know about the timeline, the end, the pricing. So I think it's going to be positive.
Okay, thank you.
There are members of the committee online if you want to talk to any of them. They're all here.
Any discussion from the audience or from anybody remoted in?
This is Ann Mazar, 50 Pleasant Street. I'm just excited to get it started finally. It's been a long time coming, and so it's really exciting that it's going to happen this summer, start this summer.
Yes, very exciting. Thank you, Ann. Anyone else?
Say I'm excited about it also. I think it's going to be it's so great. It's not going to be just a parking lot. I mean, it will be a parking lot, but it's going to be beautiful landscaping and with, an environmental impact of considering the the water drainage. So I think it's clearly very, very thoroughly thought out. And I think it will be a big asset for the town.
Something we can all be very proud of.
Hi, I'm Peggy Beal, 81 Park Street. Say that last time. I want to, as a handicapped person, I want to compliment the plan for making the handicapped access so much better.
Yep, it definitely is going to be so much better. Would agree.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I want to thank all the committee who worked on this for all the work that went in. I know this was a long time coming, so thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, any other discussion? All right, well, I think that This is a great motion to be making, so take it away.
I move to award the Town Hall campus bid to UEL Contractors Incorporated in the amount of $883,000.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. That is such great news. Number 10, consider end of year transfers. Kim?
Okay, so I printed out there, it's in the folder, but I was working on it all day today. Because this is the last one that I do for the end of the year. It's about a week early, but I tried to catch every single possible thing so that we never have any surprises at the end. Typically, what happens this week and what happened about a month ago is I'll go through all the lines in the budget, right? I'll look for potential deficits. Then I also look for all the available areas for transfers, and then we move the money essentially from a funding source into a line. They're not direct comparisons. It's not from this line to that line. This is a total. So if you have any specific questions about any of them individually, we can talk about. But for the most part, we did one set already that was about 200,000, and now this is another 200,000. There should be, my guess is another $150,000 basically unspent entirely after these transfers.
So repeat that last point again.
So typically, right, at the end of the year, whatever we don't transfer expend, we'll roll and that we caught
Right.
this free
Free
cash.
cash, right.
Eventually when we get the. I still think there's about another 150 that's not being transferred to cover something, right? So because most of it, so I usually just round up, right, rather overestimate when doing the transfer than underestimate and come back again. So for a lot of these, I'm moving, some of them I'm moving into central lines in anticipation.
This is net zero. You're just moving it within the
Yeah,
line
moving it from
items.
one place
Right.
to another place. And then the money that isn't transferred, the smaller amounts, anything that was only, a couple $1,000, a couple $100, I just left, and that stuff rolls into free cash at the end. The other place the free cash comes from, obviously, is anything in addition on the revenue side that's, above anything that we had budgeted for. And so we've had a lot of money the last couple of years for free cash when we've been certified. I'd say maybe we'll probably be a little bit more conservative this year because we just settle a bunch of contracts, right? And so that kind of cuts in, this is the 4th or 5th, 6th year in a row that we've been able to cover whatever was snow and ice in a deficit through our just transfers. So we don't have to raise it on the recap in the fall. So very small amount needed for snow and ice.
So just for my edification, I see the 60,000 town accountant salaries. You just moved it to town account. Why would we move it to expense line?
I already moved this one, so I'm moving it again. It's in the expense line because it's a contractual service that we have.
Yeah.
And I actually moved it already from.
It used to be salaries, but now we've outsourced it.
Right. And then last week when last transfer session, I moved it basically into the salary line, and then they said, can you please move it into the contract? I said, fine. Because, the way the budget actually works is salaries, expenses, right, and then capital. And so as long as it's the bottom line and each individual section of those is positive, then, the smaller lines don't really.
I just the top line item here, the salaries to expenses, just on each total. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually removing it.
So my only other comment, Kim, is I just see on the right-hand side, we're moving things into repair and maintenance down at the town hall side. And I know going into this budget cycle, there was the discussion about how do we annualize our, town building maintenance budget line item. When I see that, I think that calls for a clear need to do such a thing.
So, in full transparency for all of the remainders at the end, we have a number of projects that are currently happening within the town hall, right? And a lot of them, due to timeline constraints or year-end timeline constraints, basically aren't completely invoiced at this point.
Right.
And so I need to encumber that money in order to make sure that we have the funding that we need between now and, let's say, STM in the fall. So what will happen, so I was talking with the accountant today, we're basically consolidating into just a couple of lines, so that way it's easier for them. So when contracts come in for anything related to anything that might be like this in the next 25 days, it just goes to those two lines, whether it's an object that we're buying or it's a thing that we're doing, right? Just makes the process simpler, but they are also working towards, we're planning on having a new financial system, right? And they are still working towards that. And so at some point in July, we're going to have a brand new chart of accounts. This will not exist in. And so a lot of I know some of you are new, but like, there's so much minutia in our financial system. Like, you're talking about lines for light bulbs
Yeah, I mean,
that don't need to exist, right? And so all of that will go away. And so we'll start fresh, right? And so some of the lines, the first couple of years of using the new system will really be a better sense of seeing actuals for whole things, right? Rather than we've charged 10,000 here and 5 over here and the 6th here we can use, and
Well, it makes sense to roll together. I mean, but
the building maintenance piece, that's key, right? I've been-
and not just town hall building maintenance,
Right.
but Mendon building maintenance that corresponds to the building plan that we have.
Yes.
Right. So I think rolling it up even further makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, getting access to it and seeing an actual dollar amount makes
Yeah.
a difference. I mean, we do complain a little bit about, like, we don't have enough money for maintenance, but the fact is, we find it, but we always find it at the end like this, and it's hard to plan, you know, for a bigger project. When something like downstairs that I'm doing, and I've been doing in pieces, sort of, right, knowing that we have funding available, but like timing it out so that it fits within
Right.
whichever fiscal year we're in, rather than just saying, yes, let's do it, it costs this much, so.
So one thing I think we got to do is kind of start to separate project from maintenance, because it's not the same thing. Project is strategy, you know you're going to do it, you plan for it. Maintenance is something broke, we've got to fix it, et cetera, and upkeep, right? So somehow we got to go back through this type of work and start to segregate it in terms of what do we consider upkeep and maintenance? What was really a strategic project that we wanted to fund, right? Because I think that'll drive a lot of transparency in the budget. So I think a lot of this is good because you've probably you know what it is. Now we've got to kind of break it out so we all can, I mean, I don't know what it is. I'd like to know what it is, but start to look at it that way. Is what
Yeah,
I'd
well,
like to see happen.
like, one of the perfect example of that is the elevator. I don't think anybody ever really realized how much we spent over so many
Yeah.
years on that elevator, because we basically, it would break and then we'd have to find money to fix it. And like, then finally realizing, well, this thing breaks every year, so we need to be planning for it to break. And so we're just getting to that point.
And then what's an ROI on a replacement? Because whenever we talk about renovations, we talk about the elevators, that's too much. But if you're spending it every year, you know what I mean? You're like, yeah,
Like fixing your old car.
right,
We just keep putting a new bed in the truck.
But we definitely, speaking, of the elevator, definitely going to be looking at, after this phase is done downstairs in the offices, the next thing we absolutely have to address is that alcove in the back in front of the elevator for handicap accessibility and safety. It is a hazard. And this plan right here is designed to have more people use that entryway down there to get into the building, because the parking's on that side. So of all the things, we'll see if we have any money left from the project, but that's something in November we need to be thinking about, which is fixing that, right? Because people, when this is done, they're gonna be using it, and then, so.
Fair enough.
this might be some of the stuff we talked about in that Saturday meeting, in the last meeting.
These are your goals. That's for you. Goal setting, right?
Yes,
Right.
You
the
guys.
elevator is her goal.
My goal
That's
is-
part of a larger goal.
Goal is not to be in an office over a well, but that slow and steady.
Kim, I know that on the last set of transfers, there was a line for a transfer for town council that
Yep.
we had gone quite over on for this past year.
Yep.
For some extra calls that were being done. Is that, did we have enough covered in there, or
So Lauren,
we're still waiting for those final
Laura
bills?
and I just spoke about this today. We have billing through May 31st. I did transfer a substantial amount of money into that line. I
In
have it right here.
anticipation.
Right. We budget 80. We've budgeted 80 for the last couple of years. We haven't gone over 80 in at least 5 or 6 years.
Yep.
Unless we had a settlement we had to pay.
Right.
But I mean, I transferred, let's see, another $50,000 in there. And I looked at it today. I mean, it's impossible to know, which is why I
I
didn't
get it.
touch it, because could be $20,000 in a month, right? And so I'd hate to,
But through May is, I mean, still.
we're
it's
good
fairly-
right now.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I can't imagine,
the problem is if their billing doesn't come in.
well, it's
within the
retro
next-
billing. May is really, I get it.
Well, but the other part becomes, if it doesn't come in before July 15th, which
Right.
is the last day here, it becomes a bill of a prior year. So the burden really goes on people that want to get paid, which is
Yep.
you got to get it in the door or you're waiting till November. We can't legally actually pay you. So send that message out to the universe, which is our hands are tied, you know, in addition to having a bizarre fiscal year and everything else, dealing with the municipality, you know.
We just did all of our municipal cleanup today.
Yeah, see?
Yes,
Well, I was doing the same thing. I had like 6 things I had to talk to the accountant about today, about all these weird line items that we have.
Okay, great, thanks. I don't have any other questions. Anybody else?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, do we need to, yes, I'll take a motion.
I move to approve year-end transfers as submitted.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we have a quick, 2 executive sessions here. I'll move to go into executive session, purpose 3 pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, number 3, to conduct strategy with respect to collective bargaining. If done in open session, may have detrimental effect on bargaining for the Highway Union 272. And also for purpose number 2 pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel. Fire chief contract. And I'll add to that we'll reconvene only to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote is needed. All in favor? Aye. Sorry, Tenio, aye.
Goddard, aye.
Chanel, aye.
Brugos, aye.
Outstanding, thanks. So what we're gonna do though is anybody joining us remotely? So this is all here. So what we would do is so I just want to go over what we would do in the event that if we had council join or something. So you see where it says rooms?
Right.
So you put it there. You change that number to 1. And then you will manually assign. And you don't have to create it actually right now. The
Okay.
next screen just allows you to pick from the
Oh,
menu.
good.
It pauses our current meeting. Everybody sees that we're on hold. And
Great.
then it breaks out a second window for that other, for the, the breakout room.
Yep.
When we're done, we close the room and then just take the other one off
Perfect.
hold.
That's perfect.
It is, it's bad.
It's gonna make it so much easier.
3 different executive sessions.
Breakout rooms yet?
No, because they were creating a new link, so we all have to get out, go back in. So, yeah, we're,
Okay.
not that it's a new concept, we just
Right.
weren't using.
Yeah.
But in this case, I would just, good night, everybody. We're going to, we'll just reconvene here to adjourn. We can stop the recording and then just close out the
Got it.
TV.